Welcome to Mama, Mama and me.
Hey guys,
Hey y'all. I'm Mama.
and I'm me. Welcome back to our show.
Welcome. How was your week? Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. And
Shout out to Jennifer Nelson, who is a regular watcher of our show. Hey girl, how you doing?
how we doing?
Thank you for watching. We're gonna try our best to shout out somebody every show.
Yeah.
How about that?
How about that? Yeah. But you gotta hit us up so we know we see your comment or something.
Yes.
Because then we don't know
Definitely.
who you are.
So, how you been doing? Have you been getting your life together? Getting closer to Jesus and all that? I hope you have. Because if you're not doing that, then what are you really doing?
Yeah, I hope you're self-caring. You know, some people think of self-care as being selfish, but trust me, sometimes you gotta be selfish when it comes to you in a good way.
Yes, it
And
is.
take care of yourself. You know, stop everything, stop helping everybody else, and just put some time and effort in yourself. Because a lot of times, we put ourselves out of the way to do stuff for somebody or to help people. And when it comes to us, we think it's too much. It's gonna take too much time, it's gonna take too much energy, it costs too much. But for somebody else, we'll take all our money, take our shirt off our back. But we wouldn't do the extra mile for ourselves, you know? Start with the man in the mirror, that's important. You can't give what you don't have.
Yeah. So, hope you've been taking care of yourself. One thing that I did this week to take care of myself is buy hair products. Because as you guys can see, I went natural. Ooh, yay. And I'm feeling pretty good about it, honestly. Really, there's kind of two reasons that I went natural. There's a light one and a dark one. I'm gonna stick with the light since we're doing the whole green background this show. Let's keep it positive, healing, and peace. So I basically wanted to get my natural hair because I feel like there is a lot of indirected pressure on Black women to have straight long hair. Exhibit A. So I feel like unconsciously, like I've been equating straight hair to beauty unconsciously. So I want to be able to feel better in whatever hairstyle I have, and I felt like I gravitated to only straight styles. Like even if I didn't really even do curly wigs,
Never, yeah.
like I just did straight all the time, and it had to be bone straight, and it had to flow. And you know, I was basically caught up on this Western way of beauty, idea of beauty. So I figured, you know, it's time to really embrace myself. And I don't have a problem with wearing straight hair or getting a perm and things like that. But I'm just trying to keep that balance. That way I can embrace who I am. That way when I do wear straight hair or anything else, I can be more comfortable in doing it. So I do have my wig still. And I kind of do plan on getting a perm again because I just have a really intense, tender scalp, and combing my hair is really painful.
Nasty. She don't like it.
So I twisted my hair yesterday, and it took like forever. And this morning when I was taking the twist out, like it was hurting, and I don't really see the point of the twist because this is how my hair look regular when I put like curl moisturizer in it. So I thought like curling it would make it look like those girls and stuff in those videos. Like that's another thing. Like most people think of natural hair as beautiful. Like if you're like a soft like Dominican and
Not
black,
really kinky.
you know, not real
Kinky.
naps on naps on naps. Like I got naps on naps on naps on naps.
On naps.
On naps. You know how they be saying the numbers, you're like a 4C, I'm like a 6F. So, yeah. So I just been doing that, embracing myself, embracing my beauty and things of that nature. And I was really worried about it at first when I first cut my hair. Because I was telling my mom who cut my hair, I was telling her like, what if I do it and then I don't know what to do, or I don't think I'm pretty? And when I looked at myself in the mirror, right after I got my haircut, I felt so pretty and so released. I felt like I was carrying so much weight in that hair.
That's because you're pretty most of the times.
So,
most of the times.
the show is about like sisterhood, family, things of that. Because like when I really get on the show, I feel like y'all are my family, and I want to tell y'all the real, tell y'all how it is. You know, it's just me and mommy talking. It's no script, and really what we wanted to do is talk about the things that women go through. That's basically our niche. We do talk about other things surrounding that, but I've realized for the past couple episodes, we do talk about women and their struggle. We talk about being a Christian and struggling to just be a spiritual person in the world. So today we're going to be talking about women and infertility. My mom on the side of me is, I want to say like an expert on it, but that might not be the right term. It's just she's well versed and experienced in the process of IVF and what it means to go through fertility treatments and that sort of thing. So IVF stands for in vitro fertilization. And why don't you like just give us a background story before we discuss it?
On what?
Into you not being able to have children, and just give them an idea, because you know a lot of people probably don't know your story.
Okay. Let's try and do the short end of the story. Okay, so those of you that don't know, a lot of you guys, well, it would mostly be in the spiritual Baptist community that would have known that I'm a cancer survivor. 1992, what were we in? 19? 9 minus 2 is how much?
I'm going to school for counseling.
You see this?
7.
Okay, so I'm a 27-year cancer survivor. I had cancer at 20, which I normally, sometimes it depends on when I'm doing sermons. It depends on how it goes. It ends up being part of my testimony. Bear with me, because I believe in order for me to truly be open and honest about this particular topic means that I really have to go back in my head. Which was really, or it has been a emotional struggle, and I'm at a different place today, but I wasn't always at this place of comfort, peace, and happiness with the situation. Yeah, so I had cancer at the age of 20. My cancer weighed 10 pounds, so it was basically being pregnant, looking pregnant, but giving birth to a chunk of flesh. Instead of a baby. So after that I had several rounds of chemotherapy, several cycles of chemotherapy for 6 months. So every other week I would go to the hospital and spend a week in the hospital for 6 months. As a result, there was complication. I developed adhesions. I went on to have adhesions is scar tissue. Scar tissue is keloids. You know how people get keloids on the outside of their body? Well, when I get cut, I develop them on the inside of my body. And I end up with several other issues not related to the cancer, but due to chemotherapy, due to the extra cutting. So in a nutshell, I had 7 surgeries. My last surgery was 2014, April 4th.
Well, that was 7 major surgeries, right? Because you had minor surgeries also.
Oh no. All my minor surgeries turned out being major surgeries, because everything that was supposed to be minor and not have this big effect almost killed me every time. So all my surgeries became major surgeries. Yeah, so that's it about that. But so during the course of the time, you always think you have time, and in life, because we think that we are invincible and things that happen wouldn't happen to you. We as young women, when we grow up, our parents, or the people that grow us up, nobody ever thinks or say, well, what if you don't have children? Nobody prepare us for that thought. That is never a thought. It's automatically assumed that you're a woman, and being a woman that you're gonna reproduce, because that's what God made us tell. Part of it is to reproduce. So we automatically think that you're gonna reproduce. I'm gonna talk on the female point. I can't talk on the male aspect because I don't know exactly how they feel. I mean, I have some insight how they feel because my partner at that time, it is the both of us that would have gone through the infertility process. Yeah, but nobody teaches you. So when you are faced with the fact that you're having difficulty in getting pregnant, you still don't even think of it as nothing. You think it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time and it's going to happen. So after all my surgeries and all my stuff, at the first surgery, my doctor said if I wanted to have babies, I should do it right away. Problem meaning my then spouse, fiance, wasn't in the country. Then we finally got married a year later, and still we would have been separated because of immigration. So he would have to wait another 5 years before he could come to America. I would go back and forth, but I couldn't stay out of the States long because I was sick all the time. Then eventually he came up here, and 5 years later, and then once we did actually start trying, we realized that it wasn't happening. And again, you know this thing that you see, I don't know why that's in my head. You know when you say, there's this little quote that they have all over the subway, if you see something, say something. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest struggles that I've realized is the suffering in silence. There is this secret code. It's almost like you're sworn to hide and be secretive without anybody ever telling you, because somehow you feel like you're not supposed to talk because something is wrong with you and it's your fault. I don't want to put it up against being abused, but it has some of the same effects, because you don't want to say something because automatically people tend to think, well, what's wrong with you? You know, like it's almost like even when you have cancer, people tend to, well, what did you do? Did you eat wrong? Did you eat the wrong food? Like automatically you did something. It's like the story in the Bible with the child that was sick, and when they came into the temple, the people in the temple started saying, well, was it the mother that did something, or it had to be the father? Somebody had to do something wrong for this child to be so sick, you know. And people just are judgmental. So as a result, for years, I would have suffered in silence and went through all the different emotions of not being able to conceive. So in the midst of being sick and fighting with cancer and then getting better for a while, the thing about it is you would have friends and family that, because we know the song, you know, it's love and marriage. First come marriage, then comes the baby with a carriage. And after a while, when people see that you're married and you're not having kids, they tend to ask questions and tend to say stuff. Sometimes not always in a loving way, but almost in a little snark, like, you know, like, oh, so you don't have no children yet? So what happened with the children? When you're making the children? And not really having meaningful conversation, like something could really be wrong, like what's going on, you know, how are you doing? None of that.
Okay, so I'm hearing you talking about the different emotions of not being able to conceive, and you also spoke about, you know, a lot of times when a woman is unable to do what a woman, quote unquote, should be doing
supposed to.
as society dictates, not because that is exactly the job of a woman, but it's what society dictates that a woman should be doing. They tend to feel guilty, and one of your emotions, this self-guilt and self-judgment of, I can't have a child because something is wrong with me, or were you conscious and aware of the fact that it was your physical anatomy and it had nothing to do with your ability as a woman?
No. Okay, so at first, anatomy and all of that, that's not even in my thought, because the initial instinct is that, first of all, you would, like I said before, this thought was never even part of your thought system. You grow up, you see some people without kids, but nobody's ever open, so that's not even a thought. You suffer in silence in fact that when you see it not happening, you're not even going to the doctor to really find out what's going on. Because in secret, you're scared out of your mind, like, I am incomplete. What kind of woman does that make me? What kind of wife does that make me?
Was this happening before you had surgery, or was the efforts to conceive after?
It's definitely going to be after, because I had my first surgery would have been when I was 20.
Oh, so you never considered the fact that the surgery or the cancer may have had something to do with your inability to conceive. You always thought that it was something.
I always thought that I would be able to conceive, because after the initial surgery, my doctor said, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. And remember, it was one surgery, but then I kept having more surgeries, and still, even then, I did not think. Part of the thing about it is, and even when it looked like my body couldn't do it, I say my body because initially when we were going through the whole process and stuff, and trying and it wasn't happening, and then we try all these crazy stuff, like, you do different poses, and they say hang your body upside down and all that junk.
Right.
We would have done those things, but excuse me. Yeah, so initially I was not thinking about that, and even when I did think about it, the funny thing is that, which is a good thing, I believed, and I want to be careful how I say that, I held on to my faith that God is a miracle working God, and because of my service to God, that He would do it, basically. That maybe not for somebody else, but for me, God is definitely, I've lived a certain way, and you tend to rationalize things in your mind, and I rationalize that I've been a good girl all my life. I listened to what Mommy had to say. I had my one boyfriend, and I'm a God-fearing, because all this time I would have been pastor in the church.
Right.
I'm a pastor, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So there's no way that God will withhold this one desire that I have from me. So I don't know if I want to say that I give myself false hope in the process.
I'm getting that you used your faith and your spirituality along with your service to fill the gap of what could have been the physical restraints that would have stopped you from being able to conceive. So in other words, that you basically use that to counteract the doubts of the reality of the situation.
That it's gonna happen,
right,
regardless to what anything is gonna happen, and that's without any consultant from doctors or anything. So I would have felt what we say, the quote that we would use: fighting without, but fear within. Deep in my heart, I would be fearful, but I would fight on the outside, saying, you know what, God is gonna do this. God is gonna do this for me. And then eventually, it doesn't happen, and then you say, okay, you gotta go to the doctor now. You gotta
Right.
seek outside help.
So can you tell me about a little bit about how you decided to start IVF treatments?
Okay. Before I actually start IVF, it's crazy. So there's nobody in my family. I don't have anybody that actually know that I did IVF. The things that I went through, because like I said before, the one of the hardest thing in life is being a stallion, like I call myself. And when you don't really have, you have people around you, but you don't really have that real support system where people are really noticing, okay, it's 10 years now. You're not celibate, you're sexually active, you have a husband, and nobody's really, I'm not talking about any stranger, or I'm talking about real close, your family. Nobody's really saying, okay, what's going on? Are you trying to have kids? Do you want, you know? So with that being the case now, I would have decided with my husband then, which is my ex-husband now, that let's go see and what's going on. I would have been the adamant one, because for him, he's like, you know, whatever, if it happens, it happens. I still love you. That doesn't make you less of a person. But I in myself felt less of a person. So we decided, you know what, this is what I want to do, and we're going to go. So our first step would have been to a fertility doctor, and we would have done basic testing. First, we started off with just me.
Okay, so what is the basic testing like? What is exactly
Basic
what are they testing?
GYN testing. Then she would do the see how you're ovulating. Are you ovulating? Because some people are not ovulating.
Right.
And I would have passed all those tests. So I was ovulating. I did have one ovary, of course, by now, because the cancer would have taken out one.
Right.
But I still had one ovary. That didn't deter me. A lot of people get pregnant. One ovary is not a reason why you can't get pregnant. I was ovulating, so that wasn't an issue. But still, it wasn't happening. So then the next step, it would have been artificial insemination.
Can you explain that?
Artificial insemination is different from IVF in the sense that with artificial insemination, they takes your husband or your partner's sperm and they place it in your vaginal canal, and then the sperm has to find its way to the egg.
Right, so it's basically giving the sperm an advantage in getting to the egg.
Right.
Because of the placement,
Exactly.
it gives the sperm an advantage
Exactly.
to actually inseminate an egg and make it easier for you to become pregnant.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Before you even did that, we would have done, there would have been other drugs involved, like one of the drugs that I know, which is Clomid. What it does, it allows you to hyper ovulate. So it causes you to create more eggs than usual. And like I said,
Did they give that to you in pill form or?
yeah,
Okay. And you had to take it how often?
I can't remember, but I took it for a while.
Right.
I didn't take it that long because, of course, being the special case that I am and the blessed person that I am, I ended up having an allergic reaction to Clomid,
Right.
and which sent me back into surgery.
Hmm.
So which halted the whole process again. And in the meanwhile, which to date, I know there will be people who knows me or think they knew me, they're gonna find out this for the first time. Because I never said I would, I just said I got ill and that was it. And I went back into surgery. After the surgery, some time passed, year, 2 years. My IVF would have been really late in my life, like within the last 10 years. IVF would have been within the last 10 years. And it would be the thing that, like I said before again, that it was done in secret. Nobody outside of my house knew that I was doing IVF. So you would go to the doctor and, you know, do the whole workup again, and he would test to see how the eggs are doing and do you have good eggs and all that kind of stuff. And all that was fine. And by that time now your partner would have to get tested too, because we often think when there's infertility in a marriage, it's society, it's our upbringing automatically to assume that it's the woman that can't have the child. Nobody ever looks at the man and think, well, okay, something's wrong with the sperm. There's so many things, because pregnancy happens by mistake so much. People think it's a simple process, but there's so many things that happen or have to happen. The sperm has to be strong enough to swim up to the birth canal.
Right.
And then the woman's body have to hold the egg and be able to implant it and the moving. There's so many things involved, but because it happens so randomly, we tend to overlook that it's really, really an intricate process that takes place. So I would have gone through my first thing of the IVF, where I would have to take injections. I think I took injections like twice a day. So I would inject myself. I think I tried enlisting you one time. Did you give me an injection?
Yeah, you did. Yes, yes, it was very
It's
scary.
a long needle.
It's very scary. How did the process of IVF weigh in on your marriage? Was it a strain, or was it something that you guys bonded over, or maybe a little bit of both?
I don't want to say that it was a strain, because my ex-husband was a trooper. I can't lie and say he wasn't. He was a trooper where that was concerned. It would have been a strain on me, not because of him putting any pressure on me, but because of me putting pressure on me and me being so scared. Because I believe that sometimes, regardless what we ask for in life or what we desire in life, we have this, I'm not talking about regular doubt or regular fear, but we have this deep spirit of discernment that we kind of know that stuff is not going to happen. And you don't want to really accept it, but you kind of like, this is not, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So like deep in the back of my mind, I felt like, oh my God, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to give birth. I'm not going to experience having a baby in my belly and feeling the baby move and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, it was a smooth process. There was never no tension about it or anything, but I had my own anxieties.
Right.
You know, I had my anxieties. I knew that once we actually got to the process, I can't forget when we did the actual process, and the embryo was implanted. It was a nerve-wracking, like, you have a million thoughts. You think of what it could be and what it can be. So you think about getting the phone call of yes, you're pregnant, and the phone call of no, you're pregnant. You think about what your child is going to look like, the things that your child is going to do, and then you think about, what if I never get the opportunity to do that? In the process, the hardest thing is not really having any support system.
Right. That's what it sounds like, is that you basically had your husband, and of course you had me at that point in time. But there was a point in time where the public found out about you not having kids, or maybe they noticed, because you do have this kind of presence in the faith. So I think like local churches in the community had taken interest to the fact that you hadn't had your personal child, and I think it stemmed from a testimony that you had given, saying that you have not had a child, and as far as I can remember, we were in Boston, and they were having an event called Women in Mission, I think. And basically every woman had to speak on different women in the Bible. And I think another preacher had voiced about her struggle with conception, and you had also voiced it, and I think that's how it spread around the churches, and the public really took an interest to it. How was that for you to have everyone know what you would call this suffering in silence? How was it to have that exposed?
Well, okay. I like, in my mind, for me, I feel it's like people already knew, but it's just this thing like we have that they don't talk about it, at least not to your face. They'll talk about it, but not to your face. So for me, I've been open about it, and I openly said, okay, well, I don't have any natural, I've not given birth naturally. For me, having people know that, I don't know, to date, I really don't know. I can't say that it changed my life or it changed anything, because even other people that went through the struggle still did not even, and there's people that I would have noticed, so to date.
Well, I'm not necessarily trying to get a sense of how they impacted you, just how it felt to know that other people knew. Because for so long it had been a secret. So now that other people knew, were you happy or hopeful that you might get support? Were you defensive because you didn't want anyone to know that you couldn't conceive? Were you angry that it got out? Like, what were some feelings that you were having?
Got you. I didn't feel none of those feelings when it came to people on the outside, because for me, I knew that they always knew. Everybody knew, because if you're married and you're bumping and you doing your thing and you're not getting pregnant, obviously something is going on. After this is 15 years of marriage, obviously something is going on. I was never concerned with the public. I was too angry with, at this point in my life, I wasn't concerned with anybody else. I was angry with God.
Right.
I wasn't angry at myself, but I was angry with God, like, how could you do this? I remember going to GYN clinic, and the room that they would put you in would be the room with the woman that just gave birth. And they would have come in there for their first time visits with their babies and stuff. And I remember having to go to that room and dreading having to go to GYN. And I would see these people who I would deem or know that they couldn't afford to have a child, or they haven't even grown up yet as a young person then, and I remember walking the streets and seeing all these young girls, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15, 16, pregnant, and thinking, God, like, how could you be so unfair? Here I am, a married young woman who have lived a certain way. I'm a God-fearing woman. I live in the house of God. I dedicate my life to you. And there's this one thing that I desire, because riches don't do nothing for me. Car, fancy car, I don't care about those things. So how could you deprive me of the one thing that I truly desire? So I, in turn, literally hated God. And I remember, I don't know where I was, and somebody was preaching, and they had brought up the fact that God said, blessed be the womb of a barren woman. And I further hated God, because I couldn't understand that. What do you mean, blessed be the womb of a barren woman? And no, that's not what I want. Like, this is not the way it's supposed to happen.
Right.
I go to church, I pay my tithes, I live a God-fearing life. God, I live for you. My husband is my one boyfriend, and this should be automatic.
Right. I think that stems back to a very important idea in the church, where you also spoke about, where it's like, if you provide this service to God, if you are spiritual, if you live the right life, we sing it all the time. If I live a holy life, if I do right, the Lord is going to make a way for me. And it in its rawest sense gives you this entitlement. Because God, I have been doing what you told me to do, and
Right.
I deserve at this point
for you to do what you're supposed to do,
whatever it is that my heart desires. And you were talking about the feelings that you had going into the GYN clinic, and I know that the experience would have given you a different perspective. So how is it that you feel? Do you feel that maybe at the time you were seeing all these pregnant women because of your situation? Has that changed from then to now, or does it still has the same sting?
No, it don't. Definitely don't today. But back then,
Right.
yeah.
Back then, how would you feel about women who had abortions, or women who talked about pregnancy as if it was a curse, or there's certain women who say, I don't want to be a mother, I don't want to ever have children, and they would probably have this conversation around you, unbeknownst to your situation, what you're going through. How would you feel about these women?
A lot of times, like I said, at that point, my feelings was anger. I was angry at God. I'd be angry when I saw a young girl, like I said before. Anger. And the worst type of anger is the anger that is secret and inside. And because all this time I would have gone places and preached a good sermon.
Right.
But I would be angry. I would have drove to church, from my house to the church in tears, park the car and dry my eyes and come and give somebody else words of comfort for their life and their situation, and I would still go home and be comfortless.
What do you think it is that held you back from bearing your situation to your church home, and maybe even your family?
Because of the way that I've grown up, I kind of learned to fend for myself, to protect myself, and I've grown up in this way, which is good and it's bad, that man to man is so unjust, and you don't know who to trust. You really don't know who's really for you. So even if I really tell you my story, like, are you really gonna, not that you can fix it, but are you gonna really be empathetic? Are you really, or are you gonna secretly, because you have people around you that are secretly happy for every distressful situation that you're in. And there's some people, they're not happy and they're not sad, they just don't care. And there's some people that do know, because I would have had people around me in a lifetime that would have recklessly said, don't hit my child, don't tell my child nothing, or this is my child. Mm-hmm. And for them, maybe it meant nothing, because we have this reckless way of just saying stuff and doing stuff, right, and without really thinking about the next person, about thinking about the next person or somebody else's feelings or what's going on with them. So it would have just been brushed under the rug because she's strong. Right. All my life, I've heard of how strong I am, regardless of what I'm going through. I've heard, you're strong, but you can handle it, Right. And at the same time, You don't want anybody to pity you, because I never wanted anybody's pity. I wanted somebody to care enough to say, okay, we know that you had cancer and you've been through all of this. I wanted somebody to reach out and say to me, you know, how are you handling this? You know, how do you feel that you're not being able to have kids? What's going on?
Right.
But I didn't have that. So I didn't feel the need to tell somebody. Like, I would tell my story in a testimony because it's me and it's everybody's the audience. But like on a personal setting, I didn't allow anybody to get that close to me because I feel like nobody's really interested.
Okay. On that note, I'd really like to say that, you know, most of the times to be able to identify the character of somebody, you have to get to know them. And you cannot, yes, we don't know anybody, but we still won't know if we don't make an attempt to know. So maybe there could have been support, maybe it couldn't have, but at the end of the day, you did not receive any support. Would you say the strength that kept you going was the hope of one day having a child, or because what I'm getting is that you were angry at God, you were angry at people. So what is it that really held you together? Was it the hope of having a child one day?
In the beginning, yeah, because I believe it was going to happen. Regardless to whatever was going on, I believe it was going to happen. I think that the first time that I would have really started to go in panic mode internally, not outwardly, never outwardly, would have been the day that I got the phone call to say the first phone call to say whether I was pregnant or not. And in that moment, it's like the world stopped. I remembered, like I said, I was always doing something for the church and running around somewhere. I was looking for a hall for a prayer breakfast that we were gonna have, and I got the phone call and I held my breath, and then the voice on the other end said, "I'm sorry." And that's all I heard. And I took a deep breath and did what I learned at that time to master, which was nothing's wrong. And I went about my day like nothing was wrong. And I dread having to go home and tell my partner then that we weren't pregnant, that there wasn't going to be any baby. And I did that, and then I pretended the rest of like nothing happened because nobody else knew anything. And
was there ever a time that you did think you were pregnant without hearing from them? Did you like have any feeling in your gut, or you know, said to yourself, well, you know, this time it worked?
No, I was too scared to feel anything. I was too scared I did not want to hold on to any little hope or anything, because then the hurt and the disappointment would only be that much greater. So I just pretended like it didn't happen, like I didn't just did IVF. You know, I mean, I stayed home in the bed like I was supposed to and all of that stuff. But I never allowed myself to really think, well, okay, maybe, you know, like take my stomach or be like, oh my God, yes, it could have happened.
You feel like if you had told more people, do you think that you probably would have gained some kind of support in some way?
I don't know. I just felt like nobody was there from in the beginning, so the more people, if I had say this to people like, this is what I'm doing, you know, this is what, people always have their insights. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. And I just didn't want to deal with anybody else because I feel like nobody really made themselves available in the beginning for me to feel that comfortable to come now and say to you, this is what I'm gonna do.
Okay, so it was more of your perception of how people would react or what type of support people would get rather than actually confronting these people and saying, this is what I'm going through. But you already had that idea that they weren't there before, so they're not going to be here now.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, it's really brave that you're telling your story on Mama and me. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of women. But I really want to talk, we've talked about your past. I really want to talk about where you're at now in your journey, because it may deceive the audience to hear such a painful past and not hear where it is you're at now. So in terms of your childbearing ability, how do you feel about that now?
Today I'm fine. I'm comfortable. I'm at peace with it. Today I've looked at my experience, and it has allowed me to be who I am today in the sense of strength. I never thought in a million years while I was going through those issues that there would come a day where I would say that, you know, if I have to roll back the hand of time, I wouldn't change anything.
Would you say that there were some exact moments or exact experiences that led you to know in your heart that everything is going to be okay, or was it something that happened that made you really come to peace with this situation?
Yeah. No, I can't pinpoint no particular event to say, you know, like some people have these big epiphanies like this happened or this happened. I think for me it was time. It was time. It was forgiveness of self. Forgive myself for something that I wasn't at fault for in the first place.
Right.
So once I forgive myself, then in turn I began to be more open and be like, God, you know what? And really understand the very scripture that I would have preached to a lot of people and given so many people where they would have found hope from and find hope in that same thing. That, you know, there's some things that we want so bad or that we desire that it wasn't meant to be part of our lives. So in turn, the God that I loved first and then hated, I had to fall back in love with God. And once I fell back in love with God and end up back in the arms of God, in turn, I found my peace.
Would you say with your whole heart today that you believe that that wasn't meant for your life, giving birth?
Yeah. The fact that it didn't happen, we would have done 2 rounds of IVF. So the fact that it didn't happen at that time, yes. There would have been, life takes so many twists and so many turns along the way. Some things we have control of and something we have power of. Do I believe that it was God's plan for me to not give birth naturally, period? No. Do I believe during the period of where I was trying to become pregnant with IVF and in vitro artificial insemination, do I believe that it was against God's will for me become pregnant that time, yes.
Okay.
So I want to be clear on that, because it would have been two different periods in your life that at that particular time, I believe that it probably would have did me more harm than good. That I probably would not have been sitting here today, because I went on to have more surgeries after that. You know, and my road through to healing, physically, mentally, emotionally, it's been a long road. It's been a tedious journey. It's been a lonely journey, and I don't know, why do I say the things that I do? Why am I like getting so deep? And it's just that because, like I said before, we are taught in this secret society without anybody ever saying anything that it's okay to suffer in silence. And there's people suffering right now. There's people in churches. We come to church and you would be not even amazed, but you would have noticed there's young women in the church that are getting older and older and they don't have no kids. And we know it's not because they're not married. It's not because some people say they're not married and that's why, and we know that we deep and down inside, we know that's not the reason. But they're suffering in silence because of some infertility issue. And it's not an issue that's addressed by the church. It's not an issue that's addressed in families. It's something that we just pretend that it's not happening. And maybe after the person has died, or you would have had a family reunion, and when they go to the bathroom, they'll be like, oh, you see, oh, she not, no, they not no trying to get, I know what's going on. And it would be like a gossip or a topic, but we all have our suffering in different ways. You know, everybody have different, for some people it's not that you're not getting pregnant, some people are getting pregnant, but they're having miscarriages.
Right.
Which is a whole nother, it's a whole nother issue, but it's all the same, because the hurt and the emotions that you go through, and then you pretend and function like nothing's wrong. Because we have learned, again, the word masquerade. We learn from an early age that it's okay to be schizophrenic, in the sense that, you know, you're not really happy, but you pretend to be happy. You know, you're sad, but you pretend. You know, how do you say, well, this is my struggle. You know what? I'm really, really struggling because I want to have a child. I want to have a child, and I'm going to say, and Jane is in church, and Jane is popping out babies like nobody's business for welfare, to help her mind. And you are financially capable, and you got the husband, and you got the house, and you got the car, but you can't produce that child. You feel as if you are less than a woman. You literally feel less than a woman.
I'd like to speak to that because I feel like that stems from this idea that a woman should have a child. A woman has to know how to cook. A woman has to know how to clean. A woman has to bounce back after she has a child. She has to go back to having a flat stomach. A woman has to work, take care of the kids, take them to school, help them with their homework. And there's so much pressure for a woman to conceive because it seems like, I mean, ever since Mary, it seems like that's like the greatest thing that a woman can contribute to the world, contribute to society. Ever since Jesus was born, it seems like that's the only thing we can do. And I think that's where a lot of the pressure comes from. It's kind of generational and societal, where if you're not having a baby, then what are you good for?
You're not good for nothing.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what's taught,
Yeah,
which is it's further from the truth. It's the furthest thing from the truth, because, like, for me, would have been growing up, I have read and take care of everybody's child. All my family members that had children, I would have been the babysitter. I would have been the mother figure. I would have been, so it was only natural that, oh my God, she loves kids so much, she's gonna have kids.
Right, right. So it was also your personality.
Unique. She has this unique gift with children.
Right.
Like, she's gonna have children. Like, even me of myself, I knew that was part of my gift, is my gift with children.
Yeah.
So, like, how could God give me a gift to have this natural
natural knack
with children, and it's not for the child that I'm gonna give birth to? That would be the devil telling a lie.
Right. Seems impossible.
It had to be impossible. So as a result, like I said, when it did not happen, who else am I supposed to be angry with the most but God?
Yeah.
Because you blessed me with this gift where it didn't matter whose kids, how bad they were, it didn't matter what.
Yeah, you were the child whisperer.
I had the it factor to just, without even saying anything, to influence the child.
Right.
So, like, are you kidding me?
Right. So not only was it the pressure of society, but it was also your natural ability. It was also the lifestyle that you were living, which was taking care of people's children. Not to mention you had all the elements of what a mother has, which is a husband, a house, a car,
right,
the finances,
right,
the free time, because you would have been a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Yeah, that's really profound. I think that a lot of women have a lot to gain from it, just seeing the fact that someone who is so influential in church has been through this experience and
humans
still has
pastors,
faith,
bishops,
I think that's important.
Elders, people in authority. We are humans too that go through real life issues, because we get up in front of the podium and we give a marvelous word. The word that we give is because of the power and the anointing of God. It has nothing to do with this carnal flesh. So it seems like we have it all put together. It seems like everything is perfect in our lives, and you know, there's nothing. The same way how you are in want of stuff, we are in want and in need of stuff. The same way how we go before God asking for stuff for you, because there would have been somebody going through issues and we praying about it and praying you up. It's the same way we need to be prayed up. You know, it's the same way that we need that upliftment and people to hold you up. And we're not robots. We're not robots, and half the time you can't show that, because a lot of people would view it as weakness. And in turn, they're like, I don't want a weak pastor. What am I going to do with a pastor? Or she going through her own struggle. What miracle she could pray for me for when she can't even pray her own miracle and get a baby? So,
I think it confirms the fact that God is the only person that can change a situation. If the pastor herself cannot get what it is that she's asking for without the stamp of God, then really and truly, if you look at your own life, the power of change in your situation is God's own hand. And your pastor is just the one to usher you into that miracle. They are not the miracle worker. So I think that's what Mommy was trying to say, is that I am, you know, there's this pressure to be perfect as a pastor.
I'm not.
Which they are not.
Anything but perfect.
I think that people get the definition of pastor really messed up when this is somebody who is supposed to just tend to the sheep. It doesn't mean that they're perfect. Their job is to tend to you, and as long as they're doing that, ideally, their personal life should not sway you to the point where you feel like, I can't get anything here, I can't do anything here, because that's not part of their job. Yes, they're supposed to be a figure, a role model that you can look up to, but think about it. Do you want a role model who is showing you what life is really like, or you want a role model that is pretending to you that life is okay and that it's not? How can you really learn from somebody who is not being transparent? So it's important to understand that your pastor does have issues. Your pastor does have problems making children. Your pastor does have issues with spending too much money or not being able to save or not cleaning up. Like, they do these natural things, but the power of their anointing tends to not mask them, but clouds you. So the anointing is not hiding them, it's just clouding your vision. And I think that was intentional. I think God was intentional about that, about the anointing clouding you, not in terms of where you can't really see who they are, but in terms of that you'll see them through the eyes of God as this being who is supposed to anoint your heart and usher you into his presence and pray over you. And so they have this power, but you can't hold them to God's standards. They're only human. So yeah, that's important. I think that's important. Of course, I have a lot to say about the role of women and things of that nature because I am a feminist. But I think it really sucks that women have to live up to this idea that they have to be this a mother of the earth and things like that. All women are not mothers. Like, they don't all have that motherly quality. All women do not have a motherly quality.
Mother. And every woman that pushes a baby out of their birth canal is not a mother.
Yeah.
That does not make you a mother.
It's not to say that just because you're a woman, you are automatically peculiarly set to be a mother and walk the path of motherhood. There are women throwing their babies into garbage cans. There are women giving up their babies because they know that they can't handle that responsibility. So every woman is not meant to be a mother. I listened to a really powerful sermon by Pastor Tory Roberts, and one of the first things he said is that woman is not synonymous with wife. And I thought that was profound because as a woman you feel like, oh, I have to get a husband. Oh, I have to make a child. Oh, I have to do this. I have to wear skirts. I have to look presentable because, I never know when I'm going to meet my husband. And then when you get the husband, you have to look presentable because you're a wife now. And when the husband dies, you have to act presentable because you're a widow. So it's this lifetime cycle of doing these things just because you're a woman. And I think that sucks. And it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't. So don't ever feel pressured to have children if you don't want to have children. Women, let's be more gentle about how we deal with other women. Like, don't walk up to a woman who's been married for 10 years and don't have no kids and be like, oh, you ain't having no kids, you don't like children? You don't know.
That's not it. They say, oh, you ain't make no training yet. Just what they're doing.
Right. Don't go up to them and say that because you don't know what they're going through. And it's very insensitive when you don't know somebody's situation and you just speak on it. I think as a lot of times as people, we're not self-aware of the words that are coming out of my mouth, and we're just yapping.
Just talking.
Like, don't just yap. If whatever you're about to say is not about to empower me or uplift me or support me,
be quiet.
Shut up.
Period.
Straight like that.
Period.
Like, don't say things if you know it's not going to add to the value of this room and to the value of my environment. And that's why you choose your friends wisely, because I'm not going to have anybody around me who I know might say something that's going to set me off. Like, I should have and endeavor to have the type of friends that even if they know I'm not having children, they're not going to bring it up in a room full of people or at a family reunion and say, what's wrong with you? You don't want no children? Like, they're going to be self-conscious enough to say, this is something personal that I should talk to my friend on another level. Or this is something personal. I know my friend loves children, but she doesn't have any. I should ask her about that. I think a little disclaimer that we left out is that a lot of people didn't ask mommy about children because she had me. So, like, people tend to feel like, oh, well, she had no idea, so it's okay. Da, da. But that has its own complexities, and it's not a matter of just having a child. It's her. A lot of her things that she wanted was to be able to actually give birth, to feel a child inside of her stomach. So, you know, a lot of people didn't really ask because they felt like, oh, the Lord has provided and stuff like that. But like I said before, you don't know if somebody's thinking. You don't know how somebody feels, and it's an inward battle to be, you know, because as much as you might think that, she might still be thinking like, wow, people are probably saying I still can't have a child, this, that. So you want to be sensitive to what people are going through and not just yap off at the mouth. That's what I think at least. That's what I think.
You can't assume, and that's the thing.
That's a powerful word. Assume. People say assuming.
They assume.
Assume.
You can't assume like, okay, what am I feeling? You can't assume that, okay, because this. You can't assume. We have to be more aware. Even if the men are not aware, we have to be more aware as women of another woman.
Yes.
Of another woman.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? Like, this might not be for everybody, but I think this is like a majority thing. Men are more sensitive to those things as women. And it's not because they're more self-aware, but it's just because they're uncomfortable about asking the opposite sex, something like that. Women, they just aggressive. Aggressive. Women are aggressive. Like, how do you come up to a woman and just ask something that vulnerable and that personal? That's why I always tell people I don't want a female GYN. Because if I tell a female GYN, like, oh, I'm in so much pain, I'm having cramps right now, I can't go to work, can you write a letter for me? She's gonna be like, what you talking about? I have cramps and I don't be like that. You could do it, girl. You could just do this and try to prescribe me for my situation what she uses. No, you have to be more self-conscious about what somebody else is going through in their own individual path. You can't judge somebody else based on how you feel. So just because you're a woman and the reason why you don't have any kids after 10 years is because you're real good with the balance of condoms and birth control and ovulation cycles, doesn't mean that's the same thing happening with another woman.
On that note, let me say, so if there's anybody who's going through infertility issues, it's not an easy situation to go through. There's no quick fix. First of all, if you think you might have an issue getting pregnant, you should seek out professional help, go to your doctor, and be tested to see if you can become, all your plumbing looks right, because sometimes even though all your plumbing is in place, it still doesn't happen, because my plumbing was in place, but it wasn't happening.
You have to
if you do have
6 months, that's just
6 months to a year.
6 months to a year to be able to determine whether or not you are unable to have children. So just know that. Yeah. Because that's what they'll tell you to do when you go there. Well, have you been having sex consistently and checking your ovulation? So you have to kind of do that first, and when that doesn't work, then you go to the doctor.
Well, when I was saying that, I'm thinking you married with your husband, you would have been having sex for like.
Yeah, but you have to, if you're not checking it, like some people don't realize how important it is to have sex when you're ovulating. Like they don't really know about that, and about how like 2 weeks after you have your period, I think is like that's the worst time for sex. Is it something like that?
I have no idea what
I think it's the worst time. Don't trust my opinion, guys. I heard this in junior high school.
I have no idea what she's talking about, because there's no worse time for sex, as far as I'm concerned.
You have to have sex when you're ovulating.
Of course, but there's no worse time for sex.
But there's a period they say where you're likely not to get pregnant. But I think it's a thing. That's a young people thing. A lot of young people who does not use contraceptives, they have sex at a certain time where it's supposed to be less likely for them to get pregnant. Now you know.
That's why it's a young people thing. That's why they all pregnant pushing carriages, because they had sex when they thought it was safe.
Yeah. Anyway, can we talk about that though?
No, we're not going there. we're not going there. Back to my thing about women who is having those issues. Y'all,
I'm so immature.
you know, be strong, hold it down. Know that that does not make you less than a woman. It doesn't define who you are. You could still be a great parent to a child. There's a lot of kids, I know ideally, like for me, personally, the only thing I wanted to do was to feel the belly grow and feel the baby kick and all that kind of drama. But outside of that, if I had to go back and do it all again, like I often say, I want this same child right here. Without a doubt, without any, I don't have no regrets. I don't have no, this is the child that I want, so I would want it exactly the way it was. So, you know, if there's somebody that you could talk to, find somebody to talk to. If not, and you have to go through your thing in silence because people are gonna, you know, have your name.
You never have to go through something in silence. That is a myth. That is not true. On the face of this earth, there is billions of people. Whether you do it for free or you pay somebody, you can always talk to somebody.
I mean, if you feel you can't talk to nobody.
Yeah, if
like,
you feel that way, then
I
that's your
can't talk
choice.
to nobody.
Cool.
There's nobody for me to talk to, then that's what you do. And you keep your business to yourself because some people glad and then every time they talk, which I recommend sometimes, because every time they talk, their sermon or their regular conversation, somehow they never talked about infertility, but now because you said you have an issue, now every conversation is about people who can't have kids.
Can I just let the Momma and Me family know that mommy tends to like really harshly look into people? I'm not like that. I'm very optimistic. I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
Most likely, if you start hearing people talking about infertility after you opened up about infertility, it's just because you're more conscious of the fact.
No.
Just like if you get a red car, a red Honda, you start seeing mad red Hondas.
Of course.
It's because you're conscious of the fact now you have that situation with you and you see it more on the outside. Yes, maybe 2 out of 10 times people are actually doing that, but we're children
maybe
of God.
5 out of
God
10
is working
times.
on us. We don't want to do that. We want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and we want to allow people to support us. That is a word. Hello, somebody. That is a word. We want to allow people to support us. A lot of times, you don't have support, honey, because you ain't allowing nobody to support you. Honey, a lot of times your boyfriend ain't being supported because you ain't never told your boyfriend what's really going on. Honey, a lot of times your mama is not helping you out because you ain't never let her know that you need some help. So let's allow people to support us. Let us not judge people off of past experiences and off of quote unquote these feelings, our blood not taking somebody. Yes, gut feelings are important, spirit of discernment is important, but let us be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove and understand the difference between an actual gut feeling and spirit of discernment and just our own self-doubt and self-conscious holding us back from a blessing. So let's allow people to support us. Give people that opportunity. Why would you miss out on something that can bless you because you're scared? Boo-boo, don't be scared. Don't be scared. People disappoint you. It's a part of life. Oh my gosh. It's such a part of life. It's just life. It's just the way it goes. And sometimes you have to be willing to take a risk. One of my favorite sayings that I heard from my teacher, he says that love is suffering. And I think he got that from a book. But love is suffering, and that's true. Because to truly allow love to flow all up through you, you gotta suffer. You gotta be vulnerable. And allow people to, in order for people to get to your heart, you have to allow people the opportunity that they may be able to break it. That's love. Love is suffering.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, those of you that, just like I was saying before,
do not listen to negative Nancy.
No, I'm talking about not that you have hid yourself or you're not allowing. There's going to be times that you do allow people to support, but they still not supporting.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
there's gonna be people who didn't get to you because you didn't allow it, and there's gonna be people who didn't get to you although you allow them. So there's gonna be both sides because for me personally there was both sides of the spectrum. Because for me, I did not have to allow my brother, my sister, my mother, I didn't have to allow them to support because they knew for a fact what was going on. My aunts, my cousins.
I mean, okay, can I jump in right there? When I say allow people to support you, I probably should have explained that more. When I say allow people to support you, allowing is an action word. And it does not only mean being aware and cognizant of the fact that people know your situation, but to allow somebody to support you, because we have all different kind of people. And you have to be able, not only to expect people to know you, but be cognizant of the fact that you need to also know people around you. So when I say allow people to support you, some people, they just might have to know that this situation is happening, and they'll immediately become supportive. Some people you might have to say, you know what, I came home from an appointment today, I'm feeling really sad, I want to go out to eat. Do you want to go? And then you have given them that opportunity to support you. You have allowed them to support you. Because it's not just, hey everybody, I'm sick, and then everybody just kind of flaunts around. That's not always how it goes. You will be blessed to find maybe 1 out of 1,000 people that you would just have to announce your affliction for them to come running. But most people need to have permission to be able to step into that circle that you have, or that environment, in order to really help you, you know? And yes, it seems like, oh, I'm the one suffering, you know, they should be able to be stretching their hands out. But at the same time, people are very, very, very meek and very intentional about the way they support other people. So when I say allow somebody to support you, that can be seen from many different perspectives and angles based on the people that you have in your environment. At the end of the day, yes, people are going to disappoint. Yes, no matter what you do, people will say, I'm going to be here, but they're not actually there. But like I always like to stem back to, my identity, my character, who I am, would always give me this impulse to see something else and to allow people to be their best selves and give them the opportunity to be their best selves. And sometimes that may be stepping away and having them out of my circle, and sometimes that may be calling them and literally asking them for support. Sometimes that may be letting them know what's going on, and sometimes that may be giving them an opportunity to say, I'm sorry, I screwed up. Sometimes that might be not even talking to them. But it all depends on the people you have in your environment, and saying to yourself, yes, this person is who they are, but now you have to imagine yourself at your peak, I like to say, and say, well, what would Nadia 2.0 do? I know what Nadia right now would do, the blueprint, but what would Nadia 2.0 do? Because I know when she come around, she gonna be popping or whatever. And Nadia 2.0 is going to be aware that some people don't know how to handle sensitive situations. So Nadia 2.0 is going to be that bridge to gap that lack of knowledge and that ignorance, and let them know, like, yo, when you come over to my house, don't ask me about kids. I'm trying to have kids right now. Point blank, period. And not in an attitude way, but just in a way of trying to educate them and allowing them to support me. Because a lot of people are ignorant, and this is what we're doing, spreading light. So if I say to somebody, you know, I'm trying to make kids right now, so stop asking me about them, I give them the opportunity now to be their best selves. Now the next time, I'm going to know how to act. I'm going to know whether to be rowdy, ratchet, or calm. So that's what I mean when I say allow people to support you. I think I may not have phrased that in the right tense, but you know, I think I got an idea. So all you women out there struggling, here you've heard it. You've heard both sides of the story. You heard it from the expert herself, from the pastor, from the queen. And you heard it from
they
the
heard
girl.
from Esther.
You heard it from Esther.
You straight up, because that was just.
That was the Esther version.
That was just. I basically said what I went through, and well, in part, what I went through.
Right.
And the way it made me feel, where I'm at today, and like I said, I still stand by what I said. Find your support system.
Definitely.
If you can't find a support system, then it will be a matter of time. Hopefully, you're healed, and one day you feel whole, because it can leave you, if you're not careful, it will leave you wounded for the rest of your life. And there's nothing that nobody could say or nobody could do. Like I would often say, until you actually go through that particular thing, it sounds good and it sounds how it named, but they don't really know what you feel. Because even in me telling you now, like to really say exactly like this and that, I would literally need to go drench back in my mind. That would be emotionally draining for me to really go back and pull, because there's a million things that I could pull at and say, well, okay, this didn't think, or this didn't think, or that didn't. But at the end of the day, you got to know who you are. You got to be empowered by you. Yes, we all need people. No man is an island unto themselves. Circumstances sometimes do make us who we are. If it's a good thing, it's a good thing and it's okay. But if it's not a good thing, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, we could choose to be different. We could choose each day and say, okay, you know what? I don't have a child. I didn't give birth naturally, but I'm gifted in some other area, and find other things to be fully accomplished in. You could speak out on it. You could speak out against it, because you don't have to secretly suffer.
I have a question.
You don't.
Too. Sorry for you. What do you think about adoption?
Adoption's fine. But like I said, these things is based on individual basis. Because there's some women who don't have a child and they don't want to adopt a child because it's still not their child. Because again, society, even the same, like you were saying, the same support system and the same people that would support you is the same people that would get up recklessly at a function and say, oh, that's not really her real child.
Yeah, which has happened to us.
You know, so
countless times.
It's a matter in this life, it's a matter of, yes, you surround yourself with a good support system, but you have to know who you are as a person.
Of course, be grounded.
You have to be well grounded. You have to be, trust God. Trust Him in His power and His might, even when things are going wrong in your life. Even through hating Him, because all the times that I talked about where I got to the point where I felt like I hated God, I still trusted Him.
Right.
Because I still thought, well, okay, you know, it would happen this time, maybe the next time. So you have to really, really know who you are and love yourself. Love yourself irregardless. Love yourself irregardless whether you can or you can't. Love yourself to the next level.
Ooh, that's a word.
Because I'm telling you, if you don't, I'm telling you
that's
because of experience.
Say that again. Say that again.
Oh my God, like get out of here, kid.
Say that again.
Love yourself to the next level.
Love yourself to the
Next level, next level. Hey, hey, hey. Like for real. Love yourself to the next level. Because I'm telling you, stuff, it may not be like, for some people right now, they might be like, you probably have 5 children running around and be like, please, I wish somebody could have tied my tube or tell me when to stop you talking about children.
Stop saying that, guys.
Somebody probably say, like, my children, you know, bad them children is, oh God, that I did do something else. Probably the case, probably is so. But what I'm saying is that for me, I think pain is pain. Pain doesn't have a label.
That's true.
So you may not have gone through infertility, but you're going through other issues. Might be problem with your marriage, problem with the children. Now you might be going through problem of where your husband cheated. Maybe you cheated. You doing the cheating.
We don't get to that.
Maybe you doing the cheating. You know, whatever issue it is that you're going through in life, anointing does not separate us. It doesn't separate your pain from my pain. So what I'm saying in turn, or hoping what you're going to learn or gain from this, because I have no real reason for telling my business. I'm known to be a person where people say I'm very standoffish. I'm known for being careful who I let in my circle. I'm known for being careful of who I allow to pour into me. And by me pouring out my stuff, my feeling, my most intimate feeling, where my family and my close friends, they're going to be, when you seeing this and heard that I went through IVF, they just saw it too for the first time.
That's
like for real. And the fact that I'm doing that, I'm not doing that to gain likes. I'm not doing it to gain loves. I'm doing it because I feel like there's time, and there was a period in my life where I needed somebody and I didn't have nobody. And I'm saying to you right now who feel like you need somebody, I woke up through this and I'm stronger today. There's some woman today that you probably going through that and you thinking about you don't want to live no more because you can't have a kid. There's some people who's thinking about committing suicide because about some issue that's going on in your life. But I'm telling you today, trust me, irregardless to how bad your situation is or your circumstances, irregardless to what's going on in your life right now, I'm telling you that if you hold on and if you give life a try, like give it a real shot, that I'm telling you, I promise you that it's going to get better.
Yes.
It may not turn out what you want it to be, because I still didn't give birth.
Right.
I still did not give birth. I'm 20, how much? I still, too many years later, 27 years later after the surgeries, and I still didn't give birth. I'm never going to give birth because, yes, I had a total hysterectomy. Like, for real, for real. So I'm never going to give birth. So when I do make a joke and I say, oh, maybe I'm pregnant, or maybe I'm going to have a baby, you know, I'm going on a honeymoon, it's just a joke. But I say this to you today because the thing that you desire the most, the thing that you yearn after the most might never be part of your destiny. It might never be at the end in there for you for your life. But that does not mean that life is over. You could still live your best life.
Yes, you can. By
accepting who you are as a person. I accept who I am. I embrace who I am. I have raised a God-fearing young woman, one that I'm proud of, one that I would not change for a million natural babies in this lifetime, nor in another lifetime. Give me my child all over again. And I'm proud. I'm comfortable in who I am. And let me tell you, the hurt that I felt when I was going through what I was going through, I thought it would have never got better. I thought I would have never had a good day. I thought for sure that there was times that I thought death was better than being childless in the form of giving birth. And had I been so dumb or so vulnerable to the enemy and to the web and the deceit of the devil, I would have been dead. I would not have been able to enjoy and to be able to harvest the fruit of my labor in this young woman that sits here today.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, be of
Yes.
good courage.
Yes.
I'm telling you, you're not alone. That's why I'm telling my story. You're not alone. Regardless of what it looks like, you're not alone. Don't make nobody make you feel like their life is perfect and your life is jacked up. Don't make nobody make you feel that you are less than. You are not less than. You are more than. You are more than conqueror. You are more than. Let me tell you, speak those things as that are not as if they are, and they would be. If God says it's not for you, then say, God, help me to accept that.
Yeah,
And you
receive
accept
it.
that. But if it is according to the will and purpose of God in your life,
Yes.
not no 10 demons in hell,
Yes.
not the devil himself could snatch your destiny. And if God didn't give it to you, sister, brother, you better believe it wasn't the plan of God for you in your life. And if you do that, then it will be well with your soul. You know what? You're going to be bumping around just like me. Like, they'll be like, oh, what? And they'll be bumping around. Somebody going to be like, oh, what's she playing? She ain't got no... I'm like, I'm comfortable with me.
Right.
I know who I am. Do you know who you are?
Yes.
I know who I am, and I'm comfortable. I'm not eager to please nobody's thought or vision of who they think I should be. I live my best life ever now because I've accepted me. I've accepted every flaw. You hear what John Legend said? You know what we like to say to other people? Until I started looking in the mirror and saying, Esther, all of me, love all of you, that's when I became whole. That's when I accepted it. And that's when I used that and realized that the thing that made me weak now makes me strong. And I continue to grow stronger and stronger. So today I want to empower you that the thing that is making you weak, that the cloud is so much dread, yo, it's going to burst in blessings. But only if you give it the opportunity to burst. Allow it to burst. Allow yourself to be encircled in the love. And understand that it's not over.
Yes.
It is not over. It is not over until God says it's over. It's not over until you fold in and say, I can't do it.
Amen.
But as long as you keep these hands up and you keep fighting, you fight for your life. You fight for what you believe in. You fight for who you are. God says that you're more than conqueror. God says that you're wonderfully made. So you fight because you can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth you. I pray that God bless you. I pray that God keep you. I pray that you are empowered. I pray that you're empowered to go on another day. I pray, God, that today you had an aha moment like Oprah said. Because yet again, I had another aha moment and I'm empowered. So every time that I think I'm going to empower you, I empower myself. Because first I must minister to myself. And for you church folks, ministering doesn't mean I'm preaching a whole sermon.
But you was preaching, girl.
I was preaching, oh my God. You can minister to people and you can be a strong influence in people's life with your everyday life. I choose transparency. I choose to be vulnerable. Because some people are going to look at this and they're going to be empowered. Some people are going to look at this and they're going to forever feel sad and sorry for me. They're going to feel more unhappy and I'm not unhappy. They're going to, when you see me the next time, they're going to think, oh my God, I'm so sorry for her.
Yeah.
And I'm not there. I'm not sorry for me. I'm thankful for every mark that I bear. I'm thankful for every wound. I'm thankful for every scar. Because every scar that I have has brought me into the being that I am today. Be empowered. Be inspired. Make a difference. Make a change. Let's do this. We got this, girls. You know, they say girls rock. We rock. Let's do this.
Boys too.
Yeah, boys too. Sorry, boys. Oh my God, we've been talking forever. But for real, a lot of people been asking, well, how, and I know a lot of people tune into this Mama and Me, especially to see me, because some people think that I'm so stooge and standoffish, and who her? Oh my God, she don't talk to nobody, and she's not human. Some people said in my time, some people have said that I think that I'm holier than Mary, and you know, all these little things. But I really just want to share with a motive to empower and to help somebody along the way. Because sometimes it's not in our great sermons that we help somebody, but it's in sharing of our testimony.
Yeah.
So I've chosen to take my robes off, take my collar off, and just show you me, the raw, naked me, and be vulnerable and be transparent and say to you, this is who I am. And I go through real life issues, and I have real life struggles, and I've overcome them. You know, sometimes because you think pastor hasn't really gone through no real issue beside the things that they say, but I've been there, I've walked there, I've walked that road, and I'm here today to tell you that it would be okay. If we hold on, and it would be okay, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate the fact that you watch and you tune in. Those of you that comment, we really appreciate it. Those of you who don't comment but you have gained something from it, it's our goal that you gain and you are inspired, and that you are able to empower yourself to live your best life today, not tomorrow, not when you're walking on streets of gold, but today, because it is possible. Yeah. So giant slayers, go out and slay giants.
Bye, family.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Well, if you guys got here, that means you watched the whole thing. Let us know what you want to hear next episode.